This is Texans TV.
This week on Texans 360, it's a one-on-one with 99, and we're talking about what his impact is going to be on the defense in 2020. Texans 360 is now.
We are ready to rock in Houston. Rock and roll, touchdown, Texans.
Hello, and welcome into Texans 360. My name is Drew Dougherty. I'm your host, and we've got a fun show for you this week because our my good friend, John Harris joins us of Texans Radio. John, you ready to do some TV magic?
Let's do it. Ooh, abracadabra.
I like it. All right, later on in the show, we're doing a Dear Drew, plus we're going to move a veteran into his new home, and we'll go one-on-one with Max Scharping. But we start things off with news of the week. And number 99, defensive end J.J. Watt met with the media for the first time since January, and it was good to hear him. He says he's healthy, says he's doing well, and John, he is very, very excited about new defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver and all that he brings to the table.
And for good reason. Look, we've known Weave for a long time as a player, and then watching him get into the coaching realm and then come back to Houston as a defensive line coach. JJ's been with him ever since. I think it was a good move for Weave to move into that role. I think it's great for JJ. And the one thing that JJ was asked about during his press conference was, hey, how excited are you that there could be different ways that Anthony Weaver's going to use to get you open and available to get to the quarterback? And of course, I'm paraphrasing, but JJ was like, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. But there's no reason to not be excited for JJ Watt about Anthony Weaver as the new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and while he didn't elaborate on how he was going to be used differently, it's clear they've got some new wrinkles up their sleeves due these new Texans defenders. So J.J. Watt, like you mentioned, going to get utilized in a different way. But our very own Mark Vandermeer went one-on-one with J.J. right after that, and here is what went down. Check this out.
J.J. Watt and J.J., we've seen a bunch of you this offseason, wedding pics, Wisconsin weather reports, your TV show. How's it going?
It's going well. Obviously it's an unfortunate situation that we're all in right now. But I'm very fortunate and thankful to be in a situation where I got to spend time with my wife and my brothers and work out through it all. So I consider myself lucky.
How has the defense stayed connected virtually in the offseason? We know you're on the Zoom calls. How's that been for you, JJ?
It's actually been going really well. I was slightly skeptical about it to start because I didn't know how much, people talking over each other, trying to get the information across, but it's actually been very effective, especially in our D-line group. We have great communication. Weave does a great job getting the information across. It's been a lot of fun, actually, because we get to see each other, and we haven't gotten to see each other for so long now. We're trying to figure out with the guidelines and with the rules if there's a way we can get together in small groups to do walkthroughs just to get through our plays, because that helps a lot. But at the current moment, the Zoom meetings are what we have, and we're going to continue with them. They've been good.
What career accomplishment are you most proud of in the NFL? That might be a tough one, but what are your thoughts on that?
In terms of career accomplishment in the NFL, I think it would have to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year award over anything else. Just because of what it means and what it stands for in terms of on the field, off the field, and all the people who helped me earn that and get that, and the people who built me to this point. So I think in terms of that, that's what I would say. In terms of on the field, the first playoff game win for the Houston Texans in history will always be a special one for me. It'll always be a special moment, a special memory. But I really, really, really look forward to creating new memories much better than that.
In the first playoff win and the latest playoff win, you had big moments in each of those games. And I got to think that in the latest playoff win with that big sack you had that turned the momentum in the game, it's different than your rookie year when you had the pick six. It's got to feel different because you have all that experience under your belt.
Yeah, but this year's was special because it was coming back off the injury. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. I had an idea of what to expect, but didn't fully know. And just to be able to come back, have that impact in a playoff game, that meant a lot to me. And just to be able to help us win. That's everything that I do is to help the team win. In that instance, it did. And I'm very thankful for that.
Your rookie year, I did a show with Connor Barwin and Sean Cody, and they talked about rookie J.J. Watt and that you had a life plan. And they were very impressed with you. They were kind of semi-teasing, but They were impressed. So did you have a life plan, and how's the plan working out versus, your expectations of the plan?
Oh, I mean, I think that I certainly had goals, that's for sure. I mean, I always have goals. I write down my goals, things I want to accomplish. Rookie, back in 2011, I mean, if you looked at my 5-year plan, the number one goal for me was to win a Super Bowl and bring a Super Bowl to Houston. So that's the one I'm still working on. That is my number one goal. I want to accomplish that for this city, for these people, for our team, for our fans. But in terms of where I'm at in life, I'm fortunate enough to be married. I mean, I have an incredible home here in Houston. I have a television show on TV. I mean, I got to host Saturday Night Live. I mean, the things I've gotten to accomplish, the people I've gotten to meet, the experience I've gotten to have, I couldn't be more thankful for where I am. So I would say that whatever my plan was, there's only one thing missing from it now, and that's my goal.
All right. Well, rooting for that Super Bowl. JJ, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
When last we saw J.J. Watt in Houston, he was sacking Josh Allen and helping spearhead a comeback. Next week, Texans bow out in round 2, but that was very encouraging stuff to see him come back from a midseason pectoral injury, John. And when we heard from him last in this interview, as well as in the press conference earlier in the week, said he's healthy, said he's feeling good. And while we don't know how the Texans are going to utilize him differently on defense, it's clear in this defense there will be new wrinkles. That's a good thing. A healthy J.J. Watt, however he's utilized, is going to be a difference maker. He's going to be the difference maker on this defensive unit, John.
Yeah, there's no question. Whenever JJ has been healthy and been on the field, he has been dominant. I mean, he was basically playing with one arm in that playoff game against Buffalo, and you could argue that he was the best defensive player on the field that day with what he was able to do. And obviously, his second half reps went way up when it became winning time, which was kind of what we expected was going to happen. The key is for JJ, when he's been on the field, he's made plays. 2019, he was great the first 7 games of the year. Indianapolis Colts couldn't block him in the game up in Indianapolis without 2 or 3 guys. So when he's on the field, he's flat out dominant. So get 16 games of that, and you're talking about a guy that can be all pro, Pro Bowl, of course, and put himself in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year when he's healthy and on the field.
No doubt. So this is going to be year number 10 for him, an even decade in the NFL. Rookie season, solid, nothing sparkly until the very end in the playoffs. But then year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, he absolutely erupts and is one of the greatest defensive players of the game's history, really. The next 2 seasons derailed by injury, but then when he's healthy, like you mentioned, for a full season in 18, he's an All-Pro again. He was in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. So with all of that, and it's funny, I gotta point this out. Our producer Tyler Marcotte said in setting the segment up, "Hey, just talk about a favorite memory of yours of J.J. Watt." And I said, "You got 7 hours?" But with that in mind, do you have a favorite J.J. Watt memory of the last decade?
I do, actually. People don't remember this game a whole heck of a lot because it was a game in which JJ didn't have a ton of stats. But in 2015, we went to Jacksonville, and it was a sunny day down in Jacksonville, and we had gotten to notice right as we got on the plane to go to Jacksonville that JJ was questionable. And it was so rare, like, whoa, JJ's questionable? This just doesn't happen. And he had gotten sick, and he spent basically Saturday night in a Jacksonville hotel room, just sick as could be. Goes out on the field in Jacksonville and is just, gives everything he's got, makes a couple of huge plays, comes up with a huge 4th down play in which he's able to move Blake Bortles off the spot. Bortles has got to throw it away, and that sealed the game. That's the epitome of a guy just giving everything. Yeah, there's been some unbelievable plays in his career, but playing that game, knowing how sick and ill that he was that day, that's the one that I will stick with me forever.
All right, your moment was nauseating for J.J. Watt. My moments are nauseating for opposing teams. I'll go with the pick 6 when he was a rookie in the playoffs, and then also in 2014 here late in the season against the Tennessee Titans. It's a sack. He catches a touchdown the very next play on offense. That was a fun year, 2014, to see everything he did. All right, stick with us, because when we come back, we're going to hear from another native of Wisconsin in Max Scharping. Don't go anywhere. This is Texans 360.
First and goal at the 9. Deshaun calls for the ball. Here's the snap. Watson looking. Pocket collapsing. Watson trying to get away. Throws to the end zone. Caught by Fells. Magical.
As a unit, I think we definitely have threats everywhere. It's just not as, the wide receivers or quarterbacks. It's the entire offense. We're feeding everybody.
Gets rid of it downfield. Kenny did it. Kenny Stills. Watson the shake and bake. The twirl for the touchdown. The game is over. The Texans are the AFC South champions again.
Glad you're back with us here on Texans 360. Drew Dougherty, John Harris. And John, the Texans run game going to look a lot different than it did last year versus this year. You got two Johnsons in there, Duke Johnson and David Johnson. David Johnson going to be the starter, but both these guys can catch the ball out of the backfield. And you and I, on our In the Lab podcast earlier this week, talked at length about all the possibilities and all the variables that's going to present for defenses. But in a nutshell, how awesome and how beneficial will this be for Deshaun Watson and the guys catching the ball?
Oh, I don't think there's any question with these two running backs because you can actually play these two together and they actually fit well. You're not going to use that formation all the time, but I think you can use it as a changeup and do some different things off it. I just love the possibilities. The permutations are off the charts with having those two guys and their varied skill sets.
You're such a math teacher bringing up the word permutation. And if you want more of that conversation, go to HoustonTexans.com, the Houston Texans mobile app. Like I mentioned, the In the Lab podcast with me and John is up there. All right, moving on. In front of those guys, this Texans offensive line is markedly improved. You've got Laramie Tunsil as an anchor there at left tackle. He's now the most highest paid offensive lineman in the game. And then out on the other side, you've got a rookie, first rounder last year in Titus Howard, coming back from a knee injury and looking solid. And in between those guys, you've got Zach Fulton at the right guard spot. You've got Nick Martin at center and Max Scharping there at left guard. Very, very solid. When those five played together last year, the Texans were 5-1. So they won 5 of those 6 games. This is going to be fun to see what they can do together with continuity in 2020, isn't it?
There's no question. Having these 5 guys together is the key for the offense. You can talk about the receivers and talk about, as we just did, about Duke Johnson and David Johnson, all the tight ends. Oh, is Collie Waring going to make it back? The key to this whole offense for this year and going forward, minus Deshaun Watson. Look, the quarterback is the most important part. We know all that, but we know what we have in Deshaun Watson. But keeping these 5 guys together. And I remember we went to LA last year and we saw Titus move out the right tackle and Max was the left guard and thought, okay, this could be the offensive line going forward. Let's see how this thing looks. And when that group was together, as you said, it was very, very successful. And hopefully when they're together for 32 straight games, you're going to be looking at one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
And you got a chance to talk with one of them, Max Scharping, the left guard. You went one-on-one with him, and here is that conversation.
Oh, I am so pleased right now to be joined by second-year offensive lineman Max Scharping. Max, that's gotta feel pretty good to no longer hear the word rookie in front of your name. How you doing, man?
Yeah, definitely sounds a little bit better when you say second-year guy. So I'm doing well.
This offseason has been one of a kind, and I hope it's the last time we ever do something like this. What's it been like for you doing this virtual offseason, being away from the building when typically you would be there with your teammates, hanging in the locker room, going to practice, meeting rooms, all that kind of stuff, just seeing the guys every day? What's this been like for you? Yeah,
obviously it's a lot different from last year even, and you kind of have to use the vets that have been in the league for a while to kind of help you along, what it's normally like, because like you said, this would have been my first normal off season, I guess, other than being a rookie anyway. So, you kind of have to lean on some older guys to see what their input is and just go along with the virtual meetings as best as you can.
When you think back to your rookie year and you think about learning this offense, how do you think it would have gone had you gone through this offseason as a rookie, trying to learn everything you need to learn about this particular offense? How difficult would that have been if this has been your rookie year as opposed to your second year when you've had a full year of playing in this offense?
I think it definitely would be more difficult, but our coaches are actually doing a great job in the virtual meetings. They can screen share and help us along there. So, with our coaching staff, the way they have been preparing us, I think it wouldn't have been as bad as I think.
When you think back to your rookie year, I always think about you because in training camp, We're there for about 5 days, maybe. And then not only do we go scrimmage against the team you grew up watching, it's literally in your hometown. Obviously, you're a rookie. You're trying to impress everybody. You're trying to do great in scrimmages. And then all of a sudden, you have your entire family descending upon you right there in Green Bay, Wisconsin. What was that experience like last year when we went up to Green Bay, your hometown?
It's one of a kind, really, when you think about it. I mean, you couldn't have written a better storyline for me. First ever game, even if it's preseason, it's still a big deal. Going to do joint practices in places that I had toured when I was a kid, and never really been that deep inside Lambeau Field before, but it was a really unique experience that I'm glad I was able to take part in.
Deshaun Watson's a whole different cat back there with what he's able to do. How different was that as far as adjustment goes for, oh wait, Deshaun, okay, the time in my head says Deshaun should have thrown the ball, but he's still back there. How long did that take to kind of get used to having a quarterback like Deshaun behind you, where the play is really never over until the referee's whistle?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is one of the first meetings that I had with Dev. That was the thing he brought up. With Deshaun back there, you have to extend your internal play clock by 3 to 4 to 5 times. And like you said, it's never over. And I don't think you ever really get used to that watching some of the highlights where you watch him escape 4 defenders in one play, and you're just, how did he do that?
Max Scharping, I cannot thank you enough for your time, my man. Thank you very much. Enjoy the offseason. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you soon, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Coming up, I'll answer your questions in a brand new Dear Drew. Texans 360 returns in a moment. Welcome back to Texans 360. Drew Dougherty, John Harris, and John, you ask great questions, and the people that send me questions for Dear Drew ask great questions, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Dear Drew, and I love the fact that we're about to see one now.
Yes, thank you very much. And I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but I'll take the compliment nonetheless. And here is this week's version of Dear Drew, where I answer your questions. Honey, I'm home. First question comes from our old pal, Michael Mao. Good to hear from you, Michael Mao. Dear Drew, what is Will Fuller doing this offseason to heal and strengthen his hamstrings? Well, he's been working on a variety of different things. He's been involved in the virtual offseason program as well, and he said it's very much a focus to be healthy, have those hamstrings healthy for 2020 and beyond. And it's bugged him more than anybody else because he knows what he can do and he knows what he's capable of. And if he's healthy, he's the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. From Ray Guzman, Dear Drew, is the NFL starting on schedule? Well, it's supposed to as of right now, but we'll see. We don't know. We are not sure, and we're dealing with something that we've never dealt with before. So we shall see. But as of right now, yes. Oh, Matt Brawley's got a good one again. Always makes me laugh with these questions. Dear Drew, should the defensive line have to face backwards so they're not breathing corona into the offensive line? Jack Beasley has this one. Dear Drew, the Achilles heel last year was the ability to cover in crucial situations. What have the Texans done to fix this? Well, Jack, a number of things. The new defensive coordinator is Anthony Weaver, and he said they're going to spin the dial and be a little bit more aggressive in certain situations, just like this one. We heard from J.J. Watt on Wednesday. He said Texans going to employ him in different spots along the defensive line and in different roles than you saw before, so that might change some things. And third, when Weaver spoke a couple weeks ago, he was very bullish on what Justin Reed, the safety, has to offer in 2020 and beyond. Thinks huge things are ahead for number 20, so that's an encouraging situation there. And Jack, good question. So good, in fact, that you win scratch-offs this week, so make sure you email us and say, hey, I'm Jack, I'm the guy that won the scratch-offs, and we'll send you some money, hopefully. Oh, wait, you can't even see that. I promise I've got a computer right here, see? So let's start that again. There you go. If your question didn't get answered in this video, make sure you read The Leftovers. It's an article on HoustonTexans.com, and I bet you'll see it there. After the break, we've got a very special homecoming for a wounded warrior. It's all next on Texans 360. Welcome back to Texans 360. Drew Dougherty, John Harris. And John, the Texans are so good about recognizing those who have fought for our country, aren't they?
Absolutely. I love what we're about to see. This is my favorite moment when you hand the keys to somebody to a new house. I love this when this happens at NRG Stadium during the year.
Yeah, that happened back in a game this last fall. Operation Finally Home, where the Texans award a wounded veteran a mortgage-free home, and he got to move into it with his family recently.
Today we're celebrating the completion of a new mortgage-free home for Sergeant First Class Justin Ruber. He served in the United States Army in Iraq, 2 tours of duty. Today we're giving him a home in honor of his service and sacrifice to our nation.
I appreciate it.
I don't even know what to say. This is gonna be Craig's favorite spot. This is your you're in trouble room.
There's no word that I can express that'll tell what this means to me and my family. To have a house that's mortgage free is what everybody dreams about, and I can't say anymore. It's hard for me to put that into words. Especially appreciate everything that went into it, all the hard work from all the organizations, and the Houston Texans especially, during these times of the COVID-19 where people were out here, essential workers, still working and putting themselves on the line just to build a house for me and my family. That's greatly appreciated.
Boy, love seeing stuff like that. And there's more cool content like that at HoustonTexans.com and the Houston Texans mobile app. So scan your QR code to get all the good stuff. Because John Harris, you're featured prominently in a lot of that good stuff, aren't you?
I'd like to think so, but you, DP, Mark, Suds, Andrew, everybody contributes. That's what makes it a great team, brother.
It sure is. Well, thanks so much for coming on this week, John. Can't wait to do this again with you in person pretty soon when it's all safe. But thanks to all the folks that put this together, like Tyler Marcotte, Tyler Suddarth, Jay McDevitt, and Marilyn Logan. We appreciate everything you've done for us, and we will see you next week. Until then, go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.